Hi my loves, welcome back to my channel. Thank you very much for the love. My name is Betty and I'm a realtor. I'm a real estate agent in Midrand with Engel Focus. Guys, before we continue, before we start this video, I just want to extend my gratitude to your love. Thank you very much for your love, for your support, for sharing my content and everything that you've done. I've seen it all. I'm humbled by your love. So today's video, it's something that most of you have been asking me on my DMs, asking me a lot of questions about it. So I thought maybe let's sit down and unpack it, and then by the end of the video I'm hoping you'll be able to make your own choice. So let me not waste your time. To my returning subscribers, thank you very much, my lovies. And then to those that are new here, stay here. It's lit. Stay here. So don't forget to subscribe, to comment, and to hit the notification bell. But anyway, without wasting time, let's get down to it. If you guys see me looking down, I do have some notes on my phone as always, and it's a bit windy outside, and if you catch any wind, please don't crucify me. There's nothing I can do much about it, and I'm trying to beat the load shedding schedule because it's gonna get dark anytime soon. Yeah, so let's get down to it, my lovies, and then let's see how far we get with this video. Hopefully I'll be able to answer all your questions. If I don't, please don't forget, you can comment and then I'll get back to you. All right, let's start with renting. Renting, in this case we are referring to you finding someone who has a property and wants a tenant, and then you sign a lease agreement. So what are the advantages of renting a property? Renting a property, number one, you are flexible. You can sign a lease agreement from anywhere from 6 months, 3 months, 1 year, depending on what the landlord wants. So that is quite flexible, because if you decide you want to move, you can always terminate your lease agreement. Obviously, it has to be as per agreement, like how long is the termination period, so that you don't forfeit your deposit. So you can terminate and then move to another place. And then somehow people find renting cheaper. I am not sure about that, because it depends on where you are renting. Some rentals are expensive than the other, while some are cheaper than the other. So yeah, we can say it's cheaper because you have a choice of deciding how much you want to rent out, how much you want to put into your rental, right? And then what are the costs associated with renting? The cost associated with renting is that you have to pay the deposit. Sometimes you have to also pay the admin fee when you are doing when you are looking for a place, when the agent is placing you. So you pay the deposit, you pay the admin fee, which is for your lease agreements and stuff like that, and then you pay your rental. So in most cases your deposit is equivalent to the monthly rental. For example, if your rent is 6.5, then you're gonna pay 6.5. I think there's this basic information. And yeah, so those are the costs that are associated with renting. But then what are the disadvantages of renting? Like things that I personally have experienced with renting. The disadvantages is that sometimes the rent is similar to the bond amount. Sometimes the amount that you are paying in a certain unit is equivalent to you actually owning the unit. And then after the years of renting, you still don't own the property, you just stay in the property. And then another thing, the rent also goes up every single year. I think they go up by 5%, and most of the time it depends on the landlord. They can come back to you and say we are adding a certain amount, and you have to go with it unless you decide to move places. Guys, I'm a bit irritated by the wind outside, but I'm gonna try not to focus much on that because there's nothing we can do about it. So, and then also you need to also follow the rules from your landlord. Oh my god, some landlords oh honey, like some landlords are just, yeah, they're just landlords. I don't want to use any word, but then you have to follow the rules. You have to do as they say most of the time, and then the house is not yours. The owner can decide to sell the house anytime. Please listen to me. The owner can decide to sell the house at any time. Obviously they are going to give you they're going to give you a first preference. They'll come to you and say, look, I'm planning to sell my house, and if you want to buy it, this is how much I'm selling it for. So if you want to go through with your application, you can come in and do your application, right? But in most cases, the seller will be, by the time they already decided that they want to put their house on the market, so they can decide to do it at any given time, and they will tell you prior to selling. Sometimes you'll be told by agents, you'll see agents coming in the house, they will reach out to you, and then they'll explain the whole process to you. So when they are selling their house, you are staying there, hoping that the person that buys the house might want to continue with your lease. But then if they don't, obviously they're going to give you a notice, and then you're going to have to move out. And then also the maintenance of the unit. Most of the times the landlords are supposed to maintain, but then we find that they don't. So you might end up having to do most of the things on your own, and you incur some cost, you paying someone else cost. And again, one other thing is the fact that you can actually do anything on the unit. Like, you can decide to put cupboards, you can decide to change the tiles because you don't like them, you can decide to do anything because that particular house is not yours, unless obviously you have an agreement with the owner. But then whatever you're going to do when you leave, you're going to leave them there, and then in most cases you struggle to get your deposit back because of certain things that they're going to identify. So yeah, that's my view in terms of renting. So there is a good thing about renting, because if you don't have money, you don't want to find yourself trapped in a bond. And if you're not sure where you want to stay, you don't want to find yourself trapped in a certain location because you bought before you are ready. But then if you still feel like you need flexibility, you need to go and rent, and as much as you won't be able to change the house and do certain things, but then you have a place to call home. And then what are the costs that are associated with buying? So when you are buying a property, this depends on how you are buying. Most of us, obviously, we buy with a bond. So when you are buying with bond, you are going to incur bond costs, and you're going to get to pay transfer cost. You pay transfer cost if you are buying a house that belongs to someone else. So if you are buying my house, you need to pay transfer cost so that the conveyancers can change my name to your name, which is done at the deeds office. So if you're buying a house that has been owned previously, you're going to have to pay your transfer cost and obviously your bond cost. And I can't really say how much they are, but I can't really say how much they are because they differ. The higher the property price, the purchase price, the higher they go. So if you need help with calculating those, I'm more than willing to help you. But then yeah, that's what you're going to pay. And then if you are buying with cash, you are only liable to pay transfer costs. And then if you are buying from a developer, this is when there's a new development, they build new apartments and you're buying directly from them, you're not entitled to pay any transfer costs. However, you will pay your bond cost, right? So, and also if you check most of the properties that are on Property 24, if you scroll down there is an estimate of how much you're going to pay for that particular property that you're looking at. So that is the cost that has to do with buying a property. So so you can say sometimes it is a disadvantage because most of us don't have that kind of money. Let's say maybe if you're buying a house worth 1.3 million, we're looking at about 70,000 for transfer and bond cost estimate, and most of us don't have that kind of money to put in that kind. So this is point number one of you knowing if you are ready to buy or not. And then what are the advantages of selling? The advantage of buying, the advantage of buying is that you can sell your property at any given time. But you should get a proper evaluation on your property, obviously. So you can sell at any given time, but remember the market dictates how soon your property can be sold. It can be priced well, but then if people are going through a rough patch, obviously they won't be able to make drastic decisions in terms of buying. So you don't control the time frame of when the property will be sold. But then that is still a good thing, because you can still sell the property, and most of the time, if you did your proper research, you will make a profit out of it. But then if you bought a property that is highly priced, obviously you stand a chance of losing money. So you need to do your proper research in terms of that as well. And then the place is yours. If you want to paint it green, you're welcome. If you want to swap the carpets and make them yellow, you're welcome. You know, don't mind my design skills. I'm not a designer, but I'm just making an example. So if you want to swap and change the place however way, you can do it. Mind you, we have what we call a sectional title and a full title. So if you are buying in a sectional title, this means you are buying in a complex way. All the units are the same, more especially from the outside. So you are not allowed to extend that unit, extend the size of the unit or break the walls, you know. So that's a sectional title. But inside your own unit, you are able to change whatever you want to change, as long as it doesn't change the structure of the house. So if you are in a full title, you can break, you can build, you can start afresh, as long as you get the agreement or you get the approval from the municipality. So, but at the end of the day, if you buy in, the house is yours. You can paint it red, you can paint it however way, more especially inside, because each and every estate or complex have their own rules in terms of how you paint from the outside. And another thing is that you can resell, which is what we already mentioned. No one is going to come to you and say, I'm selling this house, you need to move quickly. Or you can decide to put in tenants if you want to move to a certain place, right? But then what are the disadvantages? I've mentioned one, which is an advantage or a disadvantage, which is the cost that it comes with you buying a property, of which most of the people don't afford it. And you cannot go and get a loan for that 70,000 to pay your transfer and your bond cost, because now you are trying to get another loan, which is the bond, right? So at that time, you cannot get a loan. So you have to be very careful. If you are in a process of buying or you want to buy, you have to be very careful of all the loans or all the credit that you get throughout the process. So your credit must be super clean. Just have normal, minimal accounts. Pay your credit cards in time. Pay anything that you owe in time. So another thing, and then there is also another cost that is involved. After you bought the property, you need to pay the levies. Oh, this is a nightmare. The levies can be a nightmare if you don't budget properly. So the levies and the rates can be a nightmare if you don't budget properly. But then if you budget properly, obviously you won't have a problem, because you know how much your bond repayment is, and then you calculate the levies, and then you'll be able to pay. So as a homeowner, you need to pay the levies and the rates for your unit, which is something that can help you to decide if you are ready to buy or not. So when you go view a property, you must ask their levies, their rates, so that you can see how much it is, so that if it's like 2,000 rand, you can add that on your bond repayment. Let's say maybe your bond repayment is going to be 8,000 rand. Then you know, including those two, you're going to pay roughly 10,000 rand. So yeah, so that is what I think you should look out for. So how do I know if I can buy a property or not? Number one, if you have money to pay your transfer cost and your bond cost, you can buy the property if you afford the bond repayment. And also, it is not compulsory for you to come up with a deposit, but then the deposit helps a lot because it reduces your bond installment. So you won't be, let's say, for example, you buy in for 1 million and then you come with a deposit of 100,000. They're going to charge you bond repayment only on the 900,000 that is left. So you won't be paying a repayment for 1 million. So the deposit helps, but then it's not compulsory that you should come up with a deposit. I suggest that if you want to buy, you should, because then it makes it easier for you to pay on a monthly basis. And then also you must get pre-approved for you to know how much the bank is willing to pay, to give you, to loan you. to loan you. So you must get pre-approved by a bond originator who's going to give you a figures of saying, okay, the bank is willing to give you 700,000, and then this is the repayment that you should expect. So when you go look for houses, you are looking for something that you know you can afford. You are looking for something that you know the bank is going to give you that kind of an amount. So that's what you should do. You should get pre-approved. So if you need assistance with that, I can also help you with that. I can link you with a bond originator. They will help gladly pre-approve you, and this is a free service, remember. So yeah, and also check your affordability. A pre-approval is going to help you with your affordability, but then deep down you know yourself, you know how much you spend. So if you are paying a rent for 7,000, then you should look for a house that is equivalent to that. If you're paying rent for 6,000, look for a house equivalent to that. So when you get a pre-approval, obviously the bond originator is going to give you an installment, so you can actually match it up with your rental. Don't try to, usually we advise people that if the bank says they're going to give you $1 million, you don't have to buy on $1 million. Try to buy 800, 700 to give yourself flexibility, right? And that's how you can know. So for you to decide whether you want to buy or rent, do you have the transfer cost and the bond cost? Are you able to afford your bond repayment? Do you know the location of where you want to buy? Have you done your research in terms of the place that you want to buy? So if you can answer all those questions in a yes, then you are definitely ready to buy. But then if any of those questions are no, you might want to rethink about buying and continue renting in the meantime. Alternatively, you can reach out to me or any other person to help you with a pre-approval. Thank you very much for watching, for tuning into this video. I hope I have been able to answer all your questions. If I did not answer your question, it's not because I don't want to. I keep on getting a lot of questions and at a different time. So sometimes when you sit down to film, you kind of forget some of the questions because they are all over the place. So if I didn't answer your question, or you have a follow-up question on the things that I've discussed, feel free to comment down below. Refrain from going to my DMs and asking me a question there, because I might even forget it again, and then it might be something that is very important. And then also, again, asking a question here helps not to get people repeat the same question and over again, because they can see it on the comment section. So my lovies, I love you so much. Please don't forget to subscribe, to comment, to like, and to follow me on Instagram, so that when I share my tips and when anything happen, or when we are about to drop a video and I want you guys to ask your relevant questions, you can be able to participate. See you guys on the next video. Mwah. Thank you for watching, my lovies. See you on the next one.